This is the second Retaliator target in the Usurper raid, which is the last Retaliator one. Today I want to run through this target and get it done for as low repair as I can manage. Now I am using a Steelhead Screw. I generally throw these on there when I'm making these initial videos of the raid. I think there are arguments for creeping death to kill the buildings more quickly, especially if you have a lower upgrade and or equipment legendary level, as well as a Silent Hunters to move faster and take less splash damage, as well as the last one is a Sea Serpents to take less damage from the radioactive guys right here. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll run through this target. Now I will briefly explain what my ship upgrades or my ship driving setup is. I will show you the build at the end, but in short, number 5 is set up as a evade tank, and it's slightly faster, which means he always moves forward and takes the damage from these radioactive turrets, like these first few right here. This first turret cluster right there, I'm going to get close to it and take out a few things right there, trying to stay away from the other ones which are doing all sorts of damage, but most of it is basically nothing if you have a decent amount of speed and stay pretty far away from those guys. Now I am trying to just weave through here, do some damage to the turrets that are for sure going to hit me if I was to go in range. Now you will notice there are these large ballista turrets. By the way, I think I called the Drac coax, or I called the disruptor cannons ballistas in the previous video, but the ballistas are these very, very large ones here that turn red and then shoot at you. You want to make sure that you are moving constantly the entire time they're shooting at you, otherwise you'll take quite a bit of damage there. Let's go ahead and get close to this next turret cluster. Should be able to grab that guy, take it down. Once he's down, let's get the moving turrets if at all possible. There's that one right there. A few shots on him. Moving turret right there. Just grab that guy, stay moving. Unfortunately, I was rather close to that one. I will take some damage and slow down. That's a sort of a flaw in my mind with these turrets, is if you are close to the ballistas and they shoot at you when you're already close, even if you're moving at maximum speed, you're going to take a ton of damage, which is not ideal. So let's grab the left ballista and then go towards the right side so that the mountains are blocking me from the next one, which I should be able to take advantage of right about here if he turns on. So mountains are blocking that shot. Once they block it, I can run in and grab the turret cluster of everything that's shooting at me on the side there. Then we'll duck inside, grab the ballista, and stay moving so the Drac coax isn't shooting at me. Now what you've seen is that I'm running around kind of willy-nilly right here, and the Drac coaxes, the ballistas, or the, I should say, the disruptors are shooting at me, but I've taken very little damage because I haven't really stopped too much in the direct line of one of these splash turrets. Now that one right there didn't go down, that's unfortunate. Now, really the things that are damaging me are splash when I stop or slow down, short-range turrets if I get too close, and or the glacials if I get too close to those guys. Right there, those ones all hit pretty far behind me and took not a lot of damage. Now we do also have the radioactive turrets, but those are, as long as I'm moving towards them with my particular build and setup, which I explained in a little bit more detail in the previous video, are taken care of with ship number 5 being slightly faster than everyone else. Here's the short range turret, get close to that guy and then turn around. And now that the 2 turrets in the center of the target are dead, the 2 giant ballistas, I can take my time, go a little bit more slowly, click on this guy, see the firing range, get close to him, turn away from the disruptors before they do too much damage to me. Short range turret, again, just shoot at him and run the other direction. And I can take a look at the turret platform right here. I can see that we do have 3 turrets, but they all have the 2 of them have minimum ranges, except for the radioactive guy, and he's going to shoot at the flag, or at number 5 anyway, so he takes basically no damage. Now there is a short range guy right there, so I want to avoid him, and instead just circle off to the side, grab one coax, second coax, and turn to the left there. Again, all these pink shots are hitting way behind me, even without doing something crazy like I talked about at the start of the video, like putting on a Silent Hunters. This target does also feel very, very familiar, very similar to the 103 in the last raid. I think they just changed it up and added some moving turrets and called that a day. It doesn't really feel too much different than that one, although maybe that's the mechanics feeling very similar. Well, I feel like the entire right island here is basically the same as the previous month's target, so that's a little bit of laziness in my mind, but hey, what do I know? It could be making that up. But let me know if you think in the comments that this looks familiar, if it looks similar to the last month. In any case, we have 2 of the radioactive guys. I'm going to stop here, and I can manually pull ship number 5, which is the tank 1 head, if I want to, which, you know, they die by the time I do that, which is the advantage of the build I've got going on here. Radioactive turret hit behind me there, but as you can see, I took no damage. The retreat bar didn't go down until the radioactive guy started hitting me, so that is proof that you can outrange or outrun the damage from the radioactive turrets. I should say, one of the radioactive turrets, the thrower, the glacial thrower. And there's that guy. Probably shouldn't have done that. Should have clicked over this guy and ran around the outside instead, but that did take it down, so not too worried. And the final bit of the turret is going to be one of the moving guys didn't quite catch up with. By the way, the exact timing on the moving turrets and where they are in your particular position will depend on how much you talk about the target at the start of the video, which will likely be very little for most of you. Taking a look at the repair time, and again, we should see all ballistic if we had evaded from... Well, the only radioactive damage I should be taking is from the radioactive turrets that are the launchers. So that is very, very low at 7%, combining resisted and taken. Likely means I did not get a shockwave off. In terms of ballistic, 16% resisted and taken. So what, roughly twice as much ballistic as radioactive, which matches up pretty well with what I'm seeing in these targets. Taking a look at the repair time, you can see that again, most of the damage is on ship number 5, which again has this super high evade build. It's 94.2% before I look at alliance bonuses, crews, things like that, although I was not using an evade crew in this target, and it has, you know, basically no weapons on it. This thing is not doing any real damage. It's only there to evade a ton of stuff. And then the other 4 ships are built differently than the tank. These 4 are all built the same as each other, and they are all the damage setup. I do have 1 at X1, and the other 3 are at cap. I did do a lot of saving tokens and getting tokens in the previous raid and stuff like that. So there's the build for this one. As you can see, if we look at the combat speed on the regular ships, that is 87, whereas this one right here is 89. I believe some of that is doing some rounding, but they are very, very close in terms of combat speed, which is again why this works. If you don't have a combat speed setup in your particular build style, no worries, that doesn't really matter too much. It will just mean you have to do a little bit more driving, but even if you have all 5 damaged ships, you can drive basically the same as I did. Maybe just have to focus a little bit more on getting those radioactive guys down and not going in range of 2 of them at once. By the way, I did want to mention for the radioactive turrets, you do want to make sure you turn on projectile explosions, particle effects right here, because otherwise you're not going to see the shockwave when it happens. If you start seeing your ships take massive amounts of damage when you don't think they got hit by anything or just got hit by one radioactive projectile, that's probably why you probably have these 3 items off. Okay, there's the target. I do want to briefly mention the prizes. Now, I did mention in the previous video, but the thing you want to do is get the Worldeater and start building 4 blanks of these ones before the XP weekend. I'm going to save my tokens as much as possible and not spend them until I have to, and spend all my physical time upgrading these guys if possible, but spend no more time actually upgrading your Retaliators. And I will point out, or spend no physical time upgrading your Retaliators. It's fine to use tokens and stuff like that. I will point out, depending on the upgrade level of your Retaliators, you likely got some free stuff for the Worldeater in terms of tokens and kits and build tokens, so you may not actually need to buy any of the kits for this guy in the raid. Just wanted to point that out there. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know in the comments below, and I'll make sure to get back to you. With that said, I want to give a huge thank you to the channel members whose names appear on the end screen now. They're helping make videos like this one coming out on the first day of the raid possible. If you like the content I'm making and want to support, you can click the join button below on YouTube, but subscribing is totally free. With that said, this is going to be Derpy, signing out, helping you be a better pirate.